to go with the popular opinion about who George Floyd was. And sometimes it can be difficult when there are just so many external pressures to say what you believe. And this was an instance where I felt like my silence would have been better in the beginning. But the more that I think about it, I realize that we are being sold a lot of lies, and at the detriment to the Black community, at the detriment to the white community.
I want to take this time to address what Miss Owens has to say on the day that we bury Mr. Floyd, because it's important to kind of set the record straight on the hypocrisy that she and the rest of her white community are throwing out there. And yes, she is part of the white community. I want to make sure that we get that out here from the start as we really get into this. So let's have her come back and start her diatribe of bullshit.
Shelby Steele said that the Black community is unique from other communities. Our culture is unique from other communities because we are the only community that caters to the bottom denominator of our society. Now, let me explain what that means. It means to say that not every Black American is a criminal, not every Black American is committing crimes, but we are unique in that we are the only people that fight and scream and demand support and justice for the people in our community that are up to no good.
Let's call monkey bullshit on this piece. In that, yes, we definitely are unique as a community. We're unique as a culture in that we are a community and culture created by the greater society we live in. Don't get me wrong. Black people, African Americans, have made the best out of what they were given. But make no mistake, this is what we were given, not what we made for ourselves. People like Miss Owens will love to act as if somehow we exist in the land of equity, of equality, as if we all have the same fair shake as everyone else. So for her to say that we're unique because we're holding up a person like George Floyd, that we're the only people that would hold up people who have done negative things in their lives, one, that's idiotic. Two, that's very short-sighted or very white supremacist of you to simply see our uniqueness based on something that the majority of the community is not doing. We're not holding up Mr. Floyd as this outstanding example of a citizen. We're holding him up as an example of an unarmed human being being murdered by a systematic racist police force that was just simply following procedures. They weren't doing anything that was out of hand or that was not known to the greater society, damn sure to you and your friends. Putting his knee in the neck of that 42-year-old man, that's standard police procedure. Our issue is with that fact, that that's standard police procedure. Our issue is with the fact that a Tamir Rice would be shot in a park as a child, and everyone would say that it's the child's fault. How dare he be in a park playing with a toy gun? Same thing with Trayvon Martin. How dare he go to the store and get iced tea and Skittles? How dare he walk around while being black? And as he defends himself against a man stalking him with a gun, he's murdered, and it's his fault. No, it's not that we are holding up George Floyd as an outstanding citizen. We're holding him up as another example of the systematic racism within this society. The systematic racism that white people such as herself refuse to acknowledge. And again, I am calling this African American woman a white woman because she is not steeped in black culture. She does not hang out in black culture or even know people within black culture. She knows people within white culture, African Americans included. She has no place to be coming from as a black person because she only understands the world from a white perspective. And she'll continue to prove it as she continues to run her mouth here.
You would be hard pressed to find, a Jewish person who has spent 5 stints in prison, who commits a crime and dies while committing a crime, and that the Jewish people champion and demand justice for. You will be hard pressed to find this in white America. You'll be hard pressed to find this even in Latino America. If there is a person that is spent multiple times in prison, you are not going to see.
Let's further discuss the uniqueness of our community, because what she does is she compares us to Jewish America. Jews have Jewish names. Jews have Jewish heritage. Jews have Jewish shit, meaning that Jews have a foundation of who they are. Latinos, now it's a little bit more complicated in the sense that where they kind of do stand where we are, but then they still do have a bit of a heritage that they can look back on, a country that some have immigrated from and whatnot, a homeland that they can think about. We as black people have had our names erased. We've had our history erased. We've had our heritage erased. And so what it means to be black in America means to be someone erased from world history. We're here dependent on a society that sees us as less than human beings. And so if we're exhibiting behavior that you might not understand, it could be because we've been in this oppressed environment for over 400 years. That's the uniqueness of our community. But someone from outside, such as herself, would not understand that.
Do that. George Floyd was not an amazing person, and as soon as this video hit the internet, I did just basic searches. Everyone jumped on it and was looking at the police officer, and everyone agrees that the police officer was wrong, and the police officer has been arrested. So that is not the reason I'm not discussing that, is because that is not something that has been misconstrued in the media. He has been turned into the devil that he is, and there is no reason for us to harp on that any longer, because white Americans are not uplifting Derek Chauvin as a victim or pretending that he's an amazing human being. But George Floyd is being uplifted as an amazing human being. For those of you who have not yet seen the clips and did not pursue or wait for more clips to come out, first and foremost, George Floyd at the time of his arrest was high.
Let's stop her there. Call monkey bullshit on her cooning, her doing something that comes right from the white supremacist playbook, which is defame and demean the victim. George Floyd being high, that does not mean he deserved to be murdered. Something else she said earlier was, I'm not saying or condoning or defending the officer that killed him. He was a horrible person, blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're discussing. But what she is doing is sidetracking or defending the systematic racism that the black community is actually upset about. It's not about just that officer. It's about police departments across the nation. It's about us crying about this for decades and it just being ignored or gaslighted, same way as this white woman right here is doing. That's what people are rioting and upset about, because here again is another clear example of a man being murdered. And the cops were going to get off. It was no big deal to them. It wasn't until the video came out that people could see with their own eyes that this was some bullshit. Some straight monkey bullshit. Our issue again is that we should not have to wait for the video to come out for an officer to be investigated, to be suspended, to be fired after an unarmed human being, American citizen, is killed. There should be some consequence to people dying in the custody of police departments. Not, oh, another one died or another one hung herself.
A martyr for a fake narrative, by the way. Police brutality, racially motivated police brutality is a myth. Okay.
Breaking news tonight and the blistering report from the Justice Department.
U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch said the Chicago Police Department has been violating the constitutional rights of residents for years.
A scathing new report out tonight from the Justice Department says police in Baltimore have lost the trust of the community, and they say it's because of a history of racial discrimination and how the law is enforced.
But let's get back to her monkey bullshit.
White people represent 60% of the population, and black people represent just 13% of the population. It doesn't matter what percentage of the population you represent. It matters what percentage of the violent criminal community you represent. And unfortunately, black community commits a disproportionate amount of crimes compared to the white community. Let me tell you, 6% of the population, right? Black men, 6% of the population account for 44% of all murders in this country, according to 2018 statistics. That is what you call a gap. And yet white people who represent 60% of the population, we represent 13, black men are 6%, only represent 50% of all the murders, right? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. A 6-point variation in a community where we are extreme minorities. We commit 50% of all violent offenses, evenly split, and we're only 13% of the.
She said 44. Now she's saying 50. But that is crazy. Why would that be? Why would 13% of the population be committing so many of the crimes? I don't know. Maybe there's 400 years of history behind it. 400 years of oppression, of rapes, of lynchings, of redlinings, of, Jim Crow, of all these things that would oppress a people in a way to make them a permanent part of the underground or a subclass, right? It's like we're not allowed to be legit. Now, I am a libertarian and made it on my own. I've had the privilege of having family, people to support me and be behind me, to give me examples of how to be and move forward and so on. That's a big privilege that I have, to have this huge family when most do not. They have no support system within the richest land in America. They are still carrying the scars of slavery, deconstruction, Jim Crow, and the war on drugs, not to mention the crack epidemic. All this comes just up into the 90s where they continue to build prisons. And now we have ourselves here and we're going to have this white woman tell us that there's nothing holding us back, that there is no more need there, despite the fact that you still feel the pain. You should just be able to get up.
You want to know the best way to avoid not being brutalized by a police officer is to limit the amount of encounters you need to have with them, especially when it comes to violent crimes. Okay?
The civil rights investigation found that officers in the Baltimore Police Department, BPD, routinely stop, search, and arrest African-American residents for no good reason.
These violations have deeply eroded the mutual trust between BPD and the community it serves. Trust that is essential to effective policing as well as to officer and public safety.
Over the past 5 years, police have stopped over 300,000 pedestrians in African-American neighborhoods on little or no suspicion of law breaking, often frisking them, even strip searching some in public. One man in his mid-50s was stopped 30 times but never given so much as a ticket. This man says he tried hard to avoid interacting with police.
But despite that, had at least a couple dozen instances with law enforcement that I'm pretty sure were just predicated on the fact that, I'm a young black man.
I mean, it's embarrassing embarrassing. We are embarrassing in that regard, right? This is why we have a cycle and a toxic culture, because nobody wants to tell the truth in Black America. It's so easy.
No. That's some monkey bullshit. We have this toxic culture because no one wants to tell the truth in white America.
I mean, is that way too high of a mountain for us to scale, to do the right thing, to be upstanding citizens? That is the call to action that I have for Black America with Brexit. Like, why do we keep fulfilling this narrative? What do you think the perception of us, by the way, is on the outside?
Now, this part right here, this is very interesting. One, in her hatred of her own people, right? You see how angry she is about what she don't understand, right? She can't understand it again because she's not a part of the culture, and not being part of the culture, that's what has her upset. And now she's about to get into something. Let's just let you hear.
You ever look at the comments? You ever go into like an anonymous blog and see what people say? Oh, just Black people being Black people. I see those racist comments. Oh, just Black people got to riot. Black people got to be Black people. You know how they are. Oh, just Black people being ignorant. That is the perception. When people get to be anonymous and talk about us, that's what they think about us, right? They think that we are the kind of people that will forever uphold criminals as the martyrs of our society, that we will never take account for the things that we do wrong, right? That we don't have it within us to educate ourselves to get ahead. And that for those of us that actually do it, well, we get called coons, right? You got kind of...
Yeah. yeah. I'm going to give you a great example of cooning. She just said that in these comments, people are giving these racist, they're saying these racist things. She just spent this whole video saying that same shit. So here, this African American woman is spouting racism and wondered why we calling her a coon. It's because you're a fucking coon.
Lisa Rice, she's a coon. Larry Elder, he's a coon. Dr. Ben Carson, brain surgeon, first ever to perform the surgery of splitting twins that are connected by the head. He's a coon, right? What a loser he is. What a stupid guy he is. Kanye West says he's not going to be told to do it because of the color of his skin. He's a coon. He's lost. He's in the sunken place. The sunken place. That's where we all are, right? Because we demand more and we will get more out of this society because we're going to get ahead, right?
Oh.
That's what's going to happen. We're going to get ahead. Black conservatives get ahead because we don't subscribe to this narrative. Because you're not going to catch me outside trying to grab a TV pretending that it's because a martyr named George Floyd got killed. Okay? I'm a big believer that no matter what color you are, you do stupid things, you win stupid prizes.
And she gets the Coon Award. Because the stupid thing, again, is to blame the victim and protect the oppressor. This is what she's doing here. She's acting as if she's a part of the Black community because she keeps saying we and us when she damn sure is not. She's not demonstrating it in her knowledge and her actions and anything. And then she's wondering again why Black people within the community would have a problem with a Condoleezza Rice, a Ben Carson, her, and even if I could probably a Clarence Thomas. It's because they take on the white supremacist notion that we are getting what we deserve, that we are animalistic, that we are complaining about things that aren't happening, like police brutality. That's what makes you a coon. When you use your melanin to downplay what it is that we, other people of melanin, are saying. You are put there in this position just to make white supremacists feel good. You're getting paid to down your own culture, as you say, which again is not your culture. You're just sitting here in melanin face pretending to be Black. This is what makes you a coon. Nothing more.
you.